Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. I am smiling because look at this. You can see all the leaves uh, are gone from the trees except for the pine trees in the background. It is December 1st. It is warm enough for me to be out here. I don't know if I should be smiling because you guys know how I feel about global warming and man's responsibility for it, and how we should really be doing more to save ourselves or save this environment that supports humanity so well. But be that as it may, I'm doing an outside version because it's warm enough to. It hit 70 today on December 1st, which is practically unheard of. Shouldn't be, but hey, here we are. And yeah, it's just the sun's going down. It's about 4:20, and I'm about to bail out. I mean, in about 10 minutes when it starts getting dark, as you guys know, in Colorado, it will start getting quite cold as soon as it gets dark. It's like Hoth. I remember in Empire Strikes Back, they had to close the blast doors, and Chewie's like when Han Solo's out, and then Han Solo has to cut open the Tauntaun with Luke's lightsaber. By the way, that is some Star Wars trivia. Han Solo is the only um, uh, non-Jedi at least in the first trilogy that uses a lightsaber. Just realized that I think I heard that was for the entire series. That's not true because Finn's not a Jedi and he uses it at one point, or at least attempts to, against Kylo Ren in Episode 7. So maybe whoever came up with that trivia question didn't think it through. But what I come to talk about, I really don't know. I'm just going to babble for 10 minutes, so I'm giving you an apology 2 minutes in. That I do want to talk a little bit about yesterday, because I know my last episode I mentioned my hair is nuts, by the way. I need to do something with this mess. But yesterday I started coaching. Well, I'm one of the coaches. I'm not the head coach of our little, it's called Unified. It's basically special needs basketball, and Dante did it back when he was in high school with the same school that I teach, at which I teach now, which is great. And he really enjoyed it a lot, and it was beautiful. We got, when your kid's special needs and he makes a shot, and he was never very athletic, and and you see that, and it makes you almost cry in the stands, and it was beautiful. When he had his shot, he just had, it was like an 18-footer, just right, like where the corner by the, I don't know how well you guys know basketball, but basically on the foul line where you take your free throws, that's 15 feet away. Well, if you move a little over, there's a corner where the lane hits the free throw. That's an 18-footer, and he would nail that thing. I remember practicing with him. Felt pretty good when he started nailing those shots in what, I don't know how competitive you could call it, but a lot of those kids took it really seriously. So I'm coaching that, and I guess I kind of came with this in my back pocket of what to talk about today, and it's about parenting and how I really want people to do better as parents, because in the end, to me, that's what it all comes down to. If your kid's a good person or a bad person, generally it's parenting. There are such things as bad seeds, and some kids get bad influences no matter how diligent the parents are. But for the most part, I think if you work on your kid early, they will be a good person. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be perfect people. I mean, for example, I have one kid with autism, but he's a good kid and he works hard. I have another kid who is suffering from depression and is a transgender, but that has nothing to do with my parenting, I don't think. I know that a lot of depression is genetic. I've discussed that in my past, or in the past. I probably have some of those issues, but obviously my ex-wife has and did. I've mentioned that in the past. But still, Logan is a decent person. He's a good person. For example, today, and this is what annoys me. And I've tried to give him options out of this since I'm in the building with him. I don't see him during the day though. We drive in together, we say goodbye, we hug. I go do my job. He goes and he's a student all day. And I see him at the end of the day as I'm dropping kids off on the buses, and then we leave together. And that's about it. And I ask how his day was, and unfortunately, about 50% of the time, it was shitty. And so I'm like, oh, great. This will be a fun ride home. But today was one of those days where he didn't want to be there in the first place. And then lunch is hard because this gets back to my parenting theory where their kids will just cut in line. They will just walk to the front of the line and fuck everyone else, or walk right in front of Logan. And he said literally 20 kids cut in front of him today. I was like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong that they just don't want to follow simple rules of society, that society's rules don't apply to them? And it seems, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want to be one of those old guys bitching about that stuff, but it feels like it gets worse and worse every generation. And I said, you should just cut back in front of them. He goes, I don't want to be an amoral person. I go, well, that doesn't necessarily make you amoral. Even Martin Luther King and Malcolm X especially, after they got smacked in the face enough times, they said, you know what, if I keep turning my cheek after all this violence, I'm going to end up dead. You got to hit back. And that's kind of what I'm saying to him, like to Logan, is go, you know what, they do it to you, just go, no, fine, fuck you, I'm going to walk around you and go to where I was in this line. But that's not his style. It's not his personality. And frankly, I'm proud of him. But it's like, man, you're not the Dalai Lama. You're not Jesus Christ. You shouldn't have to take this shit. And so I offered him options, but he didn't want to take any of them. I said, hey, I could go grab your lunch. I could take a minute and grab your lunch, because as a teacher, I can go to the front line and grab your lunch. Just take your ID, beep, and get out of there. You could come eat with me, or I could just pack you a lunch. You don't even have to have lunch there. And he had reasons to reject all three of those offers. And I said, well, I'm trying to work with you, man. I go, and I'm not the type of person to go, I don't want to hear you complain about it if you don't want to take these options. No, I'll listen to him complain, because that's what a parent does too. Part of what got me on the annoyed parenting kick, or annoyed with other parents kick, is last night. So the practice is only 1 hour a week for the special needs team. So that's part of the reason I do it, because it's an easy gig, it's a fun gig, and it doesn't cut into my parenting time and my time to do other things outside of school. But so practices from 3:30 to 4:30. We had 3 parents quite late. I'll just put it that way. One parent showed up closer to 5. Another didn't show up till 5:45, and another said it was okay for their kid to walk home. That's a lot to put. That's kind of an asshole parent move, to be honest. Oh, I'm fine with my kid walking home. No, he's special needs. We can't, liability-wise, we can't just let him walk off. He lives like 2 miles away. And eventually, I mean, he's not considered a one-on-one kid, and me and the other coaches, we talked to our boss, and she said, no, you can. Okay, so I was like, fine, we'll let him go. We'll let this other kid wait, because we waited there a full hour after, till 5:30. And I was like, we were blessed. It was a day like today. It was warm, and we were like, okay, good thing it's not cold and shitty out here, because we'd have to be either waiting in the building trying to figure out whose parent is driving up, because it's not just our kids, there are other kids getting picked up from practice and other activities. So it's just kind of annoying, and I just want, if there's any message I could ever put out to the world, and I've believed this a very long time, being a good parent is probably the most important thing you can do if you decide to have kids. If you don't have kids, obviously you're not a parent, but it really is important, because I think Louis C.K., and I know I quote him a lot, but Louis C.K., I think, said it best, because comics often have a lot of wisdom and are smart people. I mean, look at me. But for real, it's like a lot of them really do have some wisdom. Look at George Carlin, super smart. Louis C.K. is a smart guy. He's done some stupid things, but he's a smart guy. And he said, it's not, you're not raising the kid. You're raising the eventual adult. And he did a bit about this woman. I think the kids were in preschool, like kindergarten or something. He has 2 girls, and they're around my kid's age at this point. I think they're around 20 and 18, something like that. But one of the he said how he called her a weak piece of shit mom, and I see weak piece of shit parents all the time, just letting their kids do whatever they want. It's frustrating, and we see it a lot in the special needs world, because they say, oh well, my poor kid has special needs. So that doesn't mean he gets to act like a shithead. In fact, if anything, he may have more consequences if he does act like a shithead towards other kids. Some kids might not know he's special needs, and if he grabs something from them or does something stupid, they may get punched. They might just get punched. So you'd really even have almost more due diligence to teach your special needs child to be a good, decent, smart person. But anyway, what Louis C.K. said was, he observed this woman just picking up after this horrible child. And he would see this child act horribly on the playground. And finally, he said that what needed to happen to this woman was like in Full Metal Jacket when they frag, they frag the main character or the guy that shoots himself, with soap in the bottom of socks and just beat the crap out of him with that. And that's what needed to happen to this woman, because he's like, you're raising Hitler, motherfucker. And there are a lot of little Hitlers running around, not only in my school but all across this country. So parents, do better. All right, that's all I got. It was a babble. It often is lately. Man, I'm 11/12ths of the way through this process, and I'm going to make it, man. I'm going to do my 365. They may not be quality, but they will be quantity. All right, thanks, you guys. See you next time. Thanks for checking it out. Bye.